And is your choice going to be the Kalista? Again, I don't point any fingers at anyone in terms of like bad performances. Jackie Love couldn't, kind of play in that last game. He's going to try it again.
Now, it was against the Ashe Varus, which is probably the most disgusting level 1 lane that you can get in terms of bot lane right now. I was wondering if the Varus would be the first pick. That has been the case in other regions, and of course Jackie Love is one of the best Varuses we have here, both poke and on hit. The guy was incredible at that in 23. Knight had his Orianna banned away from him in the last game. He's going to pick it up for this one, and now the problem is Orianna is incredibly dominant in early lane. Cream does play a lot of aggressive mobile assassins in the mid lane, but as it seems right now, it just feels like Orianna will just break you down early game, so he's going to have an answer. Senna and Renata being hovered on the other side, it feels like both of them are actually very lane dominant in their own regards.
I do like the Renata a little bit better just because of the engage potential with an Orianna Rakan. The ball delivery system is very, very clutch. But Azir back here for Cream. Didn't have a fun time, but he doesn't have to worry about the LeBlanc this time around.
So a world we kind of saw both BDD and Faker show that even though the Azir can lose out on CS, he will get push in early game, and that can be very important because when you're looking into the enemy jungle, you're not going to have, a LeBlanc or whatever flashing in to kill your jungler for first blood. So, bit of a different laning dynamic, even despite the difference in, there's the same champion for the side of Cream. If he manages to get a leg over Knight in the early game, there's a chance that Tien isn't going to see Shin breathing down his neck quite as heavily as game 1.
No, not really, but now we see what Elk wants to go for here. Plenty of options available to him. I do think the Lovers duo is still exceptionally powerful, even regardless of where the meta is. If you can get these two champs on the same board, they are just good.
Also, on Rakan is just something special, folks. He showed us how to play that champion more than once in 2023. There was the Zeri hovered. Turns out Bruiser Zeri's back, by the way. So look forward to that at some point in an LPL game near you. I don't like Bruiser Zeri. But
I don't like Zeri in the meta at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we saw enough of that one for the whole of half of the first part of the year of 2023. Getting into second round bans, though, notably junglers not been picked up. And of course, top laners as well. Now, are we going to get ourselves into another tank v tank top side? There is, of course, no Rumble on the table, but we still have K'Sante and Udyr. Jax also available right now too. What Top Esports could do is opt into, I know it's dangerous, giving Bin the Jax and taking the K'Sante, because it feels like right now, once you hit 2 items on 369's K'Sante, if you were to pick that up, Jax doesn't really deal well with K'Sante at that point. When you have the that K'Sante there, when you have the Frozen Heart and the other items too, feels like that champion could be a really big issue. But now with the K'Sante banned, maybe you're forced into the Jax ban on the other side.
Yes, and also the brand still being left open right now. I will say you do have a bit more kind of disengaging options, especially with the Renata available to you. It's pretty much the same draft on the other side, but the Jax gets banned away here by the side.
I think we read that one okay then.
I think we read that one. Your meta read is pretty on point.
I did my homework.
Good
once.
man.
My teachers would be proud of me, I think, maybe.
But BLG now, you would imagine they would leave that top lane pick for last to give Bin that kind of information before he does commit to the matchup. They are still looking at potentially going for a completely different style rather than just pure damage. They're looking for pure engage.
Shun still has Vi banned away from him an awful lot. He plays it an awful lot. Even when the champion's hit with multiple nerfs, he keeps going back to this. We've seen it again picked up in the meta. It's no surprise that it's around. I think that when you have already the AP mid laner of the Orianna as opposed to the AD LeBlanc, it's kind of harder to go towards that AP jungle. Especially when it's, in this case, it would have been a blind pick jungle as well. Sometimes there are... jungle matchup doesn't matter all the time, but when you're picking someone like a Brand, you want to take that into account. This time it's going to be the Jarvan. So, Jarvan...
Interesting.
Good into the Orianna as well as with it as well. Of course, we've seen that combo an awful lot. It just means that Ori is going to have their flash blown an awful lot, and it's a good engage button to go with. The Cholesterol potential shuffles as well. It feels like Top Esports more competitive draft than the first game, especially if they can let that... get that level 1 in a better state of affairs.
Yep, and 369, look, again, didn't do badly on the Udyr in game number 1, didn't have a bad time of it, but does end up blocking that one in, so they've got plenty of kind of draft power within their lanes as well.
Oh, this is the counter pick right now. Into Udyr, this is the counter pick. We've seen it in LCK from Keen. We saw it from Ray Farkey as well in the LGL. Now, the EU counter pick has been the Olaf from Adam. I think Bwipo also played it in the LCS. So those are the 2 picks that we've seen really destroy the Udyr 1v1. But what the Aatrox does is give you more pressure outside of the lane. If you're just playing for the lane, sometimes things can get very difficult. Like, imagine playing an Olaf, getting Jarvan ulted, and then he just, hops out. You can't really play that. So that's been maybe, I'm reading into this a little bit, you know, Bin used to pick just for lane. That was a lot of what happened in early 23. This feels like he's picking for the team comp. He's going to be very disruptive, able to combo on in the team fights a lot better, even if he's losing out on an individual lane a bit more.
I will say for top esports, you can get maybe a little bit of a shimmer stew going in there. Cataclysm into the ultimate from
That does not sound particularly tasty.
It doesn't say. I mean that's just how it is sometimes. But you know, you got the Demacian hot pot with Rumble. You've got the shimmer stew with Renata Glass. So you know, you got to vary it. Everywhere can't have hot pot.
My favorite one is when you have the Misfortunal over the Jarvan and it's the shot glass combo.
Yes, that's a pretty good one there. There's some creativity you can get in there. But comms locked and loaded. Obviously, we're seeing roughly similar carries here for the side of top esports. A very different draft altogether, though, from the side of BLG.
Kalista Renata, level 1, is actually much more competitive versus the Zyra Khan. I mean, level 1 from Zyra Khan with the W start, still very, very dangerous, but still competitive in the 2v2 as opposed to the Ashe Varus doing unspeakable things at level 1 and popping the barrier to make sure you get the winning end of the HP trade. Feels like top lane, the Udyr will have top control as it did in game 1 in mid lane. Feels like it's a bit more of a tried and tested matchup. Azir can get that push. Feels like they have tooled themselves up for a bit more early game stability. Have top esports.
Top esports, you got to hit the ground running. That last game, forget about it. It didn't happen. Well, it did happen, but
last game?
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of attitude you need coming into this next one. You have to put down this marker because again, this is on paper, you would argue a top 4, potentially even top 3 team. You can't let BLG just roll over you, even though they are the perceived favorites coming into this year.
Oh, that is a very pretty look at that graphic out there. It's of course the Year of the Dragon.
Well, not yet. It will be Year of the Dragon after Chinese New Year. Which
is coming up soon?
February 8th or 9th? Maybe 10th. No, February 10th. Yes, I believe it's February 10th. So we'll be taking a little break. Of course, we have our new schedule as well on our side. We're not doing every day, unfortunately, but we are going to be doing Thursday to Sundays. We had decided to make a little exception for today, just so we can
make it special on the first day.
Yeah, just make it special on the first
honestly,
day.
seeing that first game, we're glad we did.
Yeah.
See how BLG can match that kind of performance. And as you can see, level 1, Jackie Love Mako, they have themselves a lot more confidence to walk up at this point, using the lethal tempo threat on that Kalista to walk forward. Sometimes you see the Halo Blades on the Kalista to get some really bursty trades, but when you have the Renata with the Kalista, because you know that you can play around the bailout, you can look for longer trades. You can even take your HP part down to 0, get more Ren stacks up, use the lethal tempo, which is better in those longer trades then, and come out ahead from that one. So let's see how that bot lane goes. I think that'll be an important part this first game. Second game, rather. Yeah, early game.
I was going to say, first series.
Well, we said to forget about the first game. I'm just sticking to it. Sticking to it. Yeah.
You're technically correct. The best kind of correct. Well, we'll see. I want to see exactly how this Aatrox works out for them as well, because for the moment, it doesn't strike me as it's going to have, as you say, a huge amount of early game pressure coming into the Udyr, but that is just the Udyr matchup.
It is. Kind of want to see what his itemization is as well. I've talked with a few people about Aatrox itemization. There's one of the ERL coaches, Harold Hamhand, who's a big fan of Shojin first and has been advocating that a lot as well. We had a discussion with Odoamne about that one, about whether you should go Sundered Sky for a bit more HP, or should you actually go for something where, you know, if you hit the Q onto 4 minions, you actually get 12% ability up right from the start. Let's forget about that one. That'll come later, though. Shun is being counter-invaded. This time it's Tien who can get over to the other side of the map. Get out of very buff steal.
And you mentioned this in the last game. Tien, kind of famously in the LPL, very aggressive kind of laner, or excuse me, pather, and just getting ahead of everyone and trying to make these kind of things work. So now Shun will realize he has been robbed, and will now have to try and figure out his path. And this is the thing, when you disrupt that pathing in the early game, it can lead to kind of some mismatches where you thought you were going to be on the bottom side, but you actually can't go for that anymore.
And because there are, you know, less camps on the top side as well, it means that you have less ability to stop this Udyr doing his thing. You're not going to be able to stop him from proxying if he chooses to do so. 369 had the early wave push, and that meant that Tien felt a lot more safe going towards the buff steal. No real chance of Bin walking down towards that buff steal at that point. Bot lane also playing, so it's a bit of a mirror actually from a reflection opposite of that game 1. That's the word I was looking for, because actually a lot of these early lanes pushing in for the side of top esports. Mid lane being the one exception right now, but both these mid laners quite low HP. Could see ourselves early 2v2 potentially.
He doesn't really want to take this fight right now. It just, unfortunately, with Tien on the Jarvan in the early game, you flag and drag in, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
You need support on that side, so he would have liked for Cream or 369 to be there. There we go, flags and drags in. Now has Cream for support. Shun might actually have to lose his flash here, and that's exactly what he does, but he's still being pushed back. Over the wall he goes.
Ooh,
Again, really wants to make this one work. Cream actually doesn't have a huge amount of mana, but the knockup is good, and they will donate over a kill to the Cream Fund. They will finally, no, they've got themselves a protection, but not quite enough. I got a little excited there. Knight didn't really have anything else to help him with. But a great start here for Top Esports, much healthier than they were in game number 1.
Flipped from game 1, early lane pressure, very much working out for the favor of Top Esports. And BLG, while they, Knight did have himself the wave pushed in mid, he didn't have the HP or the mana to really stick around, and the 2v2 now kicks off.
Flash for flash, being burned here in this bot side. Mako losing his, Elk trying to get those feathers to go down behind him to get some sun, but now, without a flash or a ghost here for Elk, you can see Tien, he's ready and able to try and make this one work. We'll know that Shun is in the bot side, and isn't willing to go for a full commit just yet, but these are low health bars.
That they are. No summoners to speak of either. Elk on, they have one flash between them. That's
no
on
heal.
the Rakan. Won't help Elk if he wants to survive. But even with that, just chipping down the tower is enough for now. It's not like this bot lane situation is getting any better for Elkanon.
I will say, Shun did get a reset because he died, so he's got a Ruby Crystal and a Longsword, so yes, the Jarvan is technically ahead in gold, but he hasn't actually spent that gold yet, so gotta be a little bit careful, a bit more wary, but great start from Top Esports, much more composed and controlled.
There's that Guardian shield, I think, blown there once again from On. Actually, that might have just been the passive of Rakan shield on that one. Still, Top Esports, they have much more control in the early game. They drafted for it. I think they learned from the mistakes of that draft 1. Mid lane, it's about as even as it gets. Not the level 1 domination that Knight found on the nerfed AD LeBlanc. Going back towards this Orianna, which has, of course, been a mainstay of the meta ever since the World Championships.
And now that you have this early kind of tempo coming out here from Top Esports, where do you convert it? Where do you want to see them move around the map to get some advantages off of the summonerless jungler and bot side?
Well, you don't have the pretty much instant clear of grubs like you do with the brand, so it's less likely to get the instant clear towards that. I'd like to see some first dragon priority from Top Esports, because it feels like Kalista Renata, if you're not getting first dragon, why are you picking that lane? It's really good at getting bot side control, converting that into objectives. As it shows right now, though, feels like Knight just managed to get the wave pushed in, get some vision out onto the top side of the map, so Knight getting some value for his team. W in.
Now On is taking a fair bit of damage, though!
Oh, the handshake!
And he was not getting out. That deal was made in blood, and the handshake was his death.
Oh, gosh. Grim stuff for the bot lane of BLG. Jack 11 Mako getting themselves some real value here. They didn't really get a chance to play in game 1, but they're showing up in the second one. That's the ward which Knight just put down in top side of river, spotting out Cream. He's going to get himself some of that honey fruit so he can top himself up. This is going to be the early grub start from Top Esports towards the top side of the map. Other regions, they haven't really been focusing too much on grubs. Feels like they're a little bit more of a consolation prize. Maybe we'll see something different in the LPL, especially if you're already hitting turrets very hard, which of course we've seen in both of these early games so far. It's the first one down, 369 got himself top lane prio. Of course, Knight had himself a reset as well.
Look at the replay then of that bot side. Again, this is honestly just really disrespected because he decided to go in instead of go out. And it leads to his death because this is just a fantastic timing on the handshake.
I don't really know why he decided to W onto Jaculov. Maybe you thought that Al could be a little bit closer so you can get the extended battle dance out of the fray. Not going to be the case though. Punished for his over-aggressiveness. And does he have another E now? Shun over the wall. Be able to get out.
Little dodgy there. And again, losing a very big HP chunk kind of off him. Has to burn through some of his refillable potion to make sure he's just able to maintain presence in the lane. The grubs picked up here as well by Top Esports. And he says that they only picked up 2. They actually have still 1 more left in that all alone. The Eddies. I have been told
which one's left? Ed, or Eddie?
Ed. And that doesn't help with that either, but...
yeah, we had a complaint. Maybe we should call them the Kev, and Kevin. Just to keep it more in brand. We'll try and see what we can get. The dive's more important here right now, though.
It is a little bit. Drag out. Flag and drag out just before the stun comes in. But again, that passive coming out here from the grubs. And see Jack Love just standing firm, knowing that he's in priority. Cream coming down towards this dragon. Again, like you said, they want to prioritize this as well. If you have the Kalista, you should just be getting perma push, which they are.
That they are. What can they actually get out of this for now, though? Because it feels like if you start up on the Dragon, you're going to give a level 6 Vi a chance to engage onto you. That would be the Vi-Orianna combo, which is not something you particularly want to be, particularly as a blue side team, stuck against these bot river walls when you're taking that Dragon against. So I think BLG, they're aware that they have some tools to fight now. They are significantly far down in gold, but it's not to the point where we've got first items coming through just yet. You need to be very careful, though.
They're looking for the handshake. There it is. Feathers will go flying. Mako gets caught a little bit, but they can't aggress any further. That's a big cooldown now on Elk. And again, JackeyLove wasn't really fully committing. He knew that he just had to basically just keep Marshall posing around that fight to know that he was always in kind of out of harm's way.
He's hop, skipped, and jumped his way to a 30 CS lead and a couple of plates on that bot side. Close to getting value. Gonna see the recall completed by 369 Knight. Was aware that there might be an Udyr over that wall, but sadly not the exact location. Can't cancel that. Dragon now finally started up on the bot lane reset timings. This isn't going to be with the help with the Kalista Renata duo. They're going to get themselves a base. There's a chance now for BLG's bot lane interrupting this themselves. Shun has been spotted on the top side of the map, so there's no enemy smites to be found. On not going to sniff this one out, though, either way.
Not yet. Hess might actually go over the wall and find himself in a bit of harm's way. But for the moment, he's just putting down all of this wards.
Is he going to hop over? Does he know what's happening?
No. Now he knows. His game announcement on kill, Water Dragon. But it has been killed. Now on, he has to engage. Good flash away from the Emperor's Divide. But again, on having a little bit of a weird one. This isn't kind of, you know, this isn't standard Rakan on play.
No. Shockwave trade in the mid lane, of course. You can use that to chunk out mage versus mage matchups. Knight going to get dominant laning phase now. Maybe force out that teleport with the all-in bot side.
Yeah, they're going to get Elk knocked up. Not going to get the knock up here onto Mako, so they can't really trade it back. And yeah, Elk knows he's in no man's land. And On just says, I'm sorry, but I have to walk away from this. And that is, again, just little things like that going very well here for Top Esports.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that Mako would have liked to have in game one instead. Again, got to talk about this duo. Really is a lot of expectations and some questions, of course, as well, around JackeyLove and Mako as the new bot lane combination for Top Esports. Tien now going to stick around towards bot side as well. Clear out some vision. With no Elk to wave clear around here, it does feel like at least another plate's going down. Maybe another kill.
Ooh, they didn't quite get the flag and drag, but they will get the Cataclysm, and he's going to get his lover to come back. He's like, thank you for saving me after I left you for dead. There's the hostile takeover. No one really going to do any damage, though. Mako flashes away, but only to be brought back under the firm hand of justice and Shun. Finally, BLG on the board.
Right, so Top Esports, they overstay a little bit. They can't quite finish off On before Elk is in range for him to battle dance away. And suddenly Top Esports, that bot lane pressure slightly reprieved for the side of Elk.
See Bin and 369 again going back towards their little 1v1. They are not involved. They have not really been involved at all in the first game or the second in terms of how anyone else has been fighting. But with that pressure on bot side, it does mean Elk gets a little bit of free time here onto the turret. And they're just going to be able to chip it away. He's actually more focusing on little things. They're going to try and fully engage onto this. On, though, gets hit straight away by the handshake. No, he actually missed it there, but they're going to be able to take him out. And there's the bailout. They tried to catch him before the Renata came back, and they were heavily punished.
Oh, now Top Esports and BLG both caught out by some slightly quicker resets than they're expecting. The bailout gets huge value, 3-0-1 for JackeyLove. Taking control of this bot side of the map. That's a swing and a miss from Elk.
Big swing and a miss, and now 369 taking a fairly unfavorable trade. Yeah, gonna use the Ghost just to make sure he's definitely away from a Vi that could have potentially been around the corner. But I mean, 5-1 in kills, 3,500 gold lead, and this is honestly, it's been very poor play from Elk and on this Zaya Rakan.
It has been, but of course, well, on the other side, it's well exploited from the side of JackeyLove and Mako as well. Bot lane of the Kalista Renata, you can see exactly why it's prioritized. Both these champions very, very strong in the current meta, but yes, you just got to chime the resets a little bit better. Feels like they were caught off guard by Mako getting back to lane. JackeyLove mops up another couple of kills.
Just again, Bork and everything, a lot of changes in the season. Blade the Ruined King, you don't have to stack it up to get the slow on it. It's an immediate slow
on that. Auto.
It's the first auto, and that can skew up a little of the movement. It can skew up your retreat plans. And as we saw, that is exactly what happened. But now they're going to take the consolation prize of the single Kevin as he comes out and gets himself there. Who came up with the Kevins?
So I heard it was pro players and scrims calling them the Kevins because they couldn't be bothered to call them anything else. And then it got picked up by a couple of broadcasts as well. I heard that the Spanish broadcast is using it for LEC. And I also spoke with a couple of the Portuguese folks who are using that as well. So it's just become like this osmosis of people just picking up the Kevin terminology.
I would just like to know where the term. I don't have a problem with it, but more so where is it going? As we're going to go straight in on this fight.
Where's Mako going?
Mako is going to die, exactly what's going to happen there. There's the knockup going in onto Cream, but he does have a shuffle to get himself out of harm's way. But BLG not willing to let this one just go by the wayside. They are willing to take fights where they can. However, Top Esports are coming out on top when it comes to the kind of trades across the map.
They already have themselves first turret towards bot side. Of course, they have themselves the two Kevins, Eddies. Void creatures of multiple names to help them with their pushing. As long as they can hit those towers, 369 gets a huge demolish on that top side as well just before the plays go down. So he gets himself a number of those towards top side, which means that the gold advantage very much in favor of Top Esports from both kills, farm, and then the plates.
Jackie looks just massive. Look at the item difference between the AD carries. Look at the CS difference between the AD carries. That's 50 CS between Jackie Love and Elk. Shelly will be... I wonder if actually, because there's only one Rift Herald now. Is it Shelly or Shirley?
What?
Because
oh
Shelly, because Shelly was the first one and Shirley was the second. Yeah.
Gosh, we might have to...
Gonna have to get Atlas and Chronicler on the phone.
You're gonna have to consult the lore masters for that one. That was... oh gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. There were I didn't even understand the implications. It's worth noting as well, though, that because the Grubs weren't fully killed the first time, the respawn didn't come in, so there are only 3 in play. We're used to seeing all 6 taken, I think, most of the time, but they've not going to be the case in this one. Bin now trying to desperately wave clear against this Udyr. It's a little bit annoying. Has gone for the Sundered Sky for a bit more staying power and healing. Less damage, though, as opposed to something like that Shojin. Whereas the kill squad, Top Esports towards the bottom side of the map, starting to group up a little bit more. Do have Udyr currently isolated from the rest of his team, though, because of that.
Well, the ward just died, and I think 369, probably the best weak side top laner we have in our league, will now realize, yep, I am still on the weak side. Doesn't really want to try and get caught out by this. Wants to pick up this wave as best he possibly can. The dragon is being confirmed. Elk is around the corner. They're going to try and fully commit onto him, and they will kill him off. I just said it. He was the best weak side top laner. Unfortunately for him, he did not think that the Elk was there. And the Moose is on the loose. They will try and look for a full engage here on the Jackie Love and Mako, and they'll take a fair chunk of damage and get the flash out of Jackie Love, but they will not get anything else.
Going to get themselves top lane turret away from that play, though. This is getting to be a bit more of a split map situation. You can see that BLG, they're trying to avoid different members of Top Esports. And now we see Bin getting a hell of a lot of damage onto Tien.
Oh, Tien, you have to be so careful. That is still an Aatrox. We have seen them do some serious work. And now Knight, you do not need to get rendered. Does have a command protect and on to the side of him as well. They do still have the ultimate from Vi if they want to try and go for something crazy, but Bin now recognizing he does not have priority in this bot side and needs to back himself away as well. It's getting a bit chaotic. Yeah. It's getting very all over the place.
You see that BLG, their answer to Top Esports right now is trying to avoid the Callista in full if they can. It was a bit of an opportunistic play under the mid lane turret. You can see that they're trying to maybe prey on isolated members of Top Esports. Trying not to take full fights. Thing is, though, it means that when Top Esports do move this bot lane around the map, they're basically uncontested. They've got themselves now 2 dragons. They still have themselves significant gold lead. It's not as open and shut a case as game 1, though. Feels like Top Esports, they've not been able to completely run away with the game in the same fashion. Still very far ahead, though. Still going to have themselves a very powerful point of power as they get through to their second items before BLG does.
Cloud Soul is the Rift. He's going to be able to move around a little bit faster, of course. The Rift Herald has been used, the Void Grubs have already been taken. We're kind of running out of neutral objectives in this early game. It has given us a fair bit of action. Right now, BLG, they are just waiting to find an opportunity. They have plenty of great engage options to them. That's the big ticket here. You get a good flash recon quickness, you get a good shockwave off of multiple key members. This game could turn on its head very quickly.
You see Knight walking down to this play as well. He could have walked up towards top side to get himself a bit more pressure on the wave there, but this is a Knight special. He likes to walk to the play, then teleport back to the lane he needs to be in. It was a classic of JDG between him and 369, of course. Yep. The 2 JDG winning laners of last year playing off against each other. Very important for both these teams. Obviously, it's Knight versus old team, 369 joining his own team. There are so many different levels of importance to this, but no fight to erupt in that mid lane so far. And once again, we go back to posturing and seeing where the next angle exposes itself.
Shun just hovering towards top side, making sure that Knight has some kind of protection, and in good reason for it. Tien moving here onto On, who gets himself back into the red buff, or the bramble back. Elk, though, might have to use his ultimate if he's not careful, waiting for that handshake. Doesn't end up getting the deal, but now Bin 369 having a little bit. And again, everyone kind of posturing right now. TP going to have to come out from Knight just to cover this little bit of a move, as Shun recognizes that he's not in a position to really flank on this.
BLG, they're quite aware of their safe boundaries. At least they have been for the last minute or two. They've not been able to find plays themselves, but they haven't been exploited just yet. One of my worries, though, is that with this ult pop towards bot side,
Oh, Elk saying, hey, you're fast, but I am too. They're going to try and maybe chase this guy down. Going to look for the quickness on here just to get a little bit of CC down. They will get him down. Can they cake him out? That is the question. It's good damage, but is it enough? He's got the shield, he's got the heal,
tanky.
And he's just so annoying. All armor, and there's just no way you're taking him out. Now Knight's caught underneath the turret. The rend is good, but it will be traded back. It's a turret for a kill. There's going to be the ultimate traded by junglers. As we can see now, Shun dodging out from the flag and drag. And it's all picking up right now. You can see BLG, they're looking for plays. Now 365.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Run,
He's looking for money. He's looking for his bag of gold. Elk will not be taken out just yet, but he's just like, hey man, it was just a prank. I didn't actually think we could kill you. I'm sorry. He ends up getting out of that one.
BLG really focusing on 369 on the weak side. You know, you praise him for his weak side play. And, you know, largely he's very good at it. Once runs away from that bot side play, as three members ran down towards him. BLG, again, trying to avoid some of the stronger members of top esports. It's meant that this game has gotten quite snatch and grab across the map. They're trying to play around, you know, multiple lanes pushing against them. They are now starting to get the point where actually they are getting punished with this. Jakilov hopping beyond the turret, using Mako to go forwards. No cleanse for someone like Knight as well. Gets rendered down under turret, at least takes one with him. I wonder if that was a shutdown. Actually, presumably it was, because it was 4-0-1 before that. So that means that Knight has now got himself up to some of the new mage items. So that's going to be the Luden's Companion. That's the little gun-like thing in inventory, which is effectively like Luden's as it was. And then also Storm Surge, which is a big old flat AP, flat magic penetration assassin item. If he gets good burst off like this, it's going to really add to it.
There's a redemption coming in just to make sure that everyone's all good and healthy.
I love it when I say something and there's an immediate example.
See, it happens sometimes, mostly the opposite for me.
Yes.
But yeah, there's the stats in there. Obviously, a lot of it in Mandarin, but we can get the general numbers out of there.
Okay, so it's 100 AP. It gives you some flat pen as well. You can see that the 10 of flat pen. It gives you some 5% movement speed to build out of the Ether Wisp as well. So what happens is when you take 35% of someone's, I think it's current HP down in a certain time span, ball lightning comes from the heavens and does an extra bit of damage too. So someone as squishy as many of these bot side members from top esports gets caught by Shockwave, as we saw there with Makeup. That's likely to be the case. So Knight, a lot of burst damage. Top esports, they can't really walk in for free into BLG's team composition. I think they do need to be careful of those shockwaves.
But they are getting free objectives. There's the Dragon Soul point. They've got themselves bot tier 2.
Yes.
This is top esports doing very well. The thing is, what I always see with teams is that if you have an advantage but you don't know where with it, then you're basically at the same point in the game. It doesn't really change anything. However, we're now seeing top esports kind of stabilizing themselves, gaining more advantages. And I mean, they're looking at a 26-minute soul, which is nothing to be sniffed at again. But now on might be caught out here. Another Rend would have been able to do it, but again, you just can't be walking forward like that without full knowledge of where Jakilov is, because it's just massive.
Jakilov is absolutely monstrous right now. He had a great early game. He's had a great mid game as well. Yeah, the death end of the mid lane turret's a little unfortunate getting shot down, but he still gets the kill there. It's still a great play to make. This Kalista has been avoided for the entire game because that's how important and how powerful Jakilov is. Question is, can he see that over the finish line? Third item for Kalista going to be coming in is called Terminus, by the way, when you see the new item down there. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when it's completed.
Bit of Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
But, the moon will crash.
Yeah. It sounds like oh, hang on,
sorry, that's Termina. That's not Terminus.
Oh, that's the Storm Surge.
When you build full armor, you ain't got a hope in hell against an Orianna who's building such incredible IEP items. And this is the key now, that this could turn the momentum a bit.
Yeah, I knew that Knights in chess only move in Ls, but Knight in League of Legends gives you Ls. Lordism in the bot side. His old top laner taken down for a solo kill. That's a very important moment. It just gives a bit of reprieve, a bit of an opening on the map. Can take out bot lane out of turret as well. That's important. Top esports, again, they've had some really good pressure plays with BLG. They have managed to avoid some of this power for a while. I say that. Shun getting caught for now.
Oh, he's just got that fancy feet, keeping everybody away from him. Even still has a Q, trying to get over the wall. He will have flash, and we'll probably have to use it here in a second. No one's going to actually jumped in on top of him. He waited for so long because he wanted to make sure he could get that extra dash with the Q. They'll get the redemption out, try to kill him off, but at the end of it all, they still don't get their fish.
See that Knight, instead of moving up to help Shun, recalled and said, look, you're on your own, you've got to make your way out of this. BLG, again, really not looking for the fights because Top Esports are really strong in those grouped up scenarios. However, in isolated scenarios, you can see that Knight has the power to really do some damage. No flash on the Udyr, he's got Ghost.
Rotations.
Mages, if you don't build magic resist items, mages do a lot of damage. Now you see, as soon as after that, there's a Negatron cloak in the Udyr's inventory. He's like, yeah,
all right.
I really don't want that to happen again. Maybe he'll build himself up to a Kanik Rooken, like we saw Bin build up in game 1. But now going onto the map, this gold lead hasn't necessarily exploded. It's 3,000 at 24 minutes. It was 2,000 quite early into the game. It's not gone hugely out of the window right now. Big teleport coming into the flank, though. This is a chance for Top Esports to take a big fight.
Shockwave, though, could be massive to go for, but they found an isolated target immediately. Cream has to go into stasis. They use the Fate's Call to try and get some kind of engage. The Emperor's Divide is not really catching anybody, but it's healing, and the hostile takeover just separates everybody. Now they can jump onto Knight and isolate him out. That's going to be a nicely done fight here from the side of Top Esports. 3 dead here for BLG, and that's a Baron straight away.
That is the grouped up team fight that Top Esports have wanted to force the entire game. That gold lead that was at 3,000 is going to absolutely explode after this one. They take down jungle, they take down both solo laners. No hope of a steal coming in from this. Top Esports, they find their fight, they find the Baron, they find themselves a crushing advantage in this game.
And Cream getting off that stopwatch. We'll have a look at it again here, because again, he's dead to rights because he's so isolated, but that extra time is so crucial.
It is building towards the Zhonya's. The Seeker's Arm Guard now functions as that stopwatch, which is just enough time for Mako to come through with the hostile takeover after the everything's come through there too. So Cream was likely going to be safe after that point. Actually, doesn't even need to put the hostile takeover on them. Very, very important stuff coming out from Cream. Of course, his debut for this roster as well. Had a bit of a difficult game 1. Game 2 on This Is It, at least in this fight, finds himself some good value.
Great signs of life here from Top Esports. Really, really doing themselves some great, just honestly great plays. Just kind of constantly understanding where they're strongest, where they need to go. And again, having that Kalista just be so far ahead, and they are leveraging it.
Now, Kalista has completed that Terminus, the bow-like item in that inventory. Basically gives you on-hit stacking, shred, and then also resistances. Makes you tanky, makes you damaging. Gonna give you a lot of power here if you can survive.
Power, but if you can't kill Jackie Lowe, there's just too much healing, there's just too much shielding, and you just can't take him down. The hostile takeover keeps everybody in place, but nobody else from Top Esports was willing to go for it. Bin took a trade against Cream and almost died for it, and now you're able to get much more pressure because the resets have to come in here for BLG.
It is. They can get themselves some healing. Knight has no shockwave right now, just looking for some chunk. But remember, these are Baron buffed up minions. They're going to have to wave clear somehow, some way. Big items, big damage, big minion waves, and a dive coming through.
Jackie Love flashes forward. He even has the bailout, but he will not get the reset on it. They will get shut down, but it goes on to on. This is Top Esports breaking open the bases. As Top Esports putting themselves into the ascendancy in this series, and this is why they put such high priority on that Kalista.
This is why we're so excited for this matchup, man. Jackie Love back in form. One of the best performing AD carries in 23. Back for a little bit more in 2024. BLG, of course, we talked about them an awful lot, about being a very strong team to watch. In game 1, oh my gosh, they proved that in that one. But game 2, Top Esports swinging back in a way that we thought they might possibly do. Top Esports looking for another group fight. This roaming squad looking to start things off. BLG, they've tried their best to avoid it, man. Tried to have some split fights to split the map a little bit more. Maybe if they can get to a third item on someone like Knight, they can find themselves that miracle fight, but it does feel like Top Esports right now, they're playing the margins very well. The bailouts have been incredible from Mako, getting huge value. Feels like BLG, they've lost that 50-50 on whether they can kill that carry in time a couple of times now. Feels like maybe those chances are slipping away.
And we do have the improved Scuttle vision now.
Yeah, post 20 minutes. Yeah.
It is a void infected Scuttle now. As gives you a hell of a lot more control over the area. It reveals wards much like a Squire's Bloom would. And even on the Chem Rift, actually takes 2 knocks off their hit bar. So you can actually clear an area very, very quickly.
It's absolutely insane.
Very powerful.
And given how much a pro player is about securing vision around objectives, before they spawn. If you do get into the river first and you get one of the scuttles, that very much helps you with it. So that's a very good point to bring up there, Rasheen. Of course, now the buffs as well. If you get buff steals at this point, a team-wide blue buff or red buff can be very, very important. I pointed this out on Twitter the other day too, because this is very important. Azir goes for the fleet footwork because his soldiers proc on hits. That also applies for red buff. So if you steal away a red buff, now, it's not necessarily the biggest thing because you already slow on your Q, and it will also apply to only the target which you click with your autos, not everyone that's hit by the soldiers, but still, a little bit of extra burn damage, a little bit of that slow which can persist as well. Watch out for the red buff Azir, it actually has some value.
It does indeed. Now, 4-item Callista, actually gone for, I believe that's a Jack show.
It is. Tanky.
Tanky boy, and they're just putting in some serious work here onto this this top lane inhibitor. I haven't been able to secure it just yet, don't want to overextend themselves. They're going to wait for those minion waves to crash into mid, which draws away a couple of resources, and BLG now just trying to hold on. 9,000 gold behind. They need some kind of a big play. They need Elk on 3 items because Zaya's just not been able to play the game.
Yeah, looking to see if I didn't catch whether Knight has his 3rd item. He has the Shadow Flame. That's changed a little bit. Now, if you hit an ability on, well, any magic or true damage on someone below 35% HP will crit for extra damage. So the Shockwave, ever so important. I think Knight has some damage, but top Esports, they've been so indomitable in team fights. Feels hard for BLG to find the comeback now.
Again, Redemption's both sports on. Just can't step up to that. Again, he's all armor right now. No magic resistance to really speak of. And now Elk trying to lowly keep this one alive, but the damage coming in from the team is just absurd. They're going to fully engage. Is not going to be able to get a kill onto Elk, but they've used 2 of their ultimates on this side. So top Esports, they have got themselves a good advantage, but they don't want to overstay their welcome.
No. BLG, they don't die, but they lose the inhibitor, they lose their ults. Ongoing in for a combo, but it's not going to lead to anything. They're bleeding out. They need to find an angle, and the Shockwave hits only Mako.
It's only Mako. There's the Redemption to come down to heal back everything. On goes down in the rest of this fight. No escape for Elk as he used everything in that last engage. Top Esports slowly but surely are just ticking all the boxes. They will make sure that they are not 0-2'd, and they will bring us to a 1-1 scoreline. Everything else is just a formality.
What a series to start things off with, a 3-gamer between 2 of our teams we expect to be at the top of the standings throughout this year. On paper, they look strong. On the Rift, both teams looking strong.
And this is what we wanted. This is what I wanted more than anything else. It's a 1-1 scoreline. We are going to see both of these teams one more time because guess what? We won't see them for a very long time after this.
Gotta say, it really feels like bot lane priority. We saw it at Worlds. We've seen it in other regions too. If you're not drafting a level 1 winning bot lane, things go from bad to worse very, very quickly because that's such a big platform for your jungler to then leverage off too. Tien, using the fact that he had winning lanes to get a leg over Shun, who was incredible in game 1. So game 3, when we come around to it, we'll see who gets the side choice in that one, of course. And then, of course, we're going to have to see who can problem solve their way out of this draft.
Yes, the drafts are the key, but